Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar event. My name is Joshua. I'm going to be your presenter. We're here to talk about some payroll check printing options here. Before we get started, technical things as we always start with, click the little red arrow on the sidebar of your webinar control panel. Allows you to get the full effect, visual effect of the presentation. Drag it off to your second desktop if you've got a dual monitor setup. There are some handouts on today's webinar event, so if you click the handouts link down the left side there or the right side of there, or sorry, yeah, the handouts, the little arrow next to that, you'll see that we have two handouts attached to today's event, Renumbering Payroll Checks and Reprint Check Stubs. That is the printed material that I am using for the basis for the, for the material today to talk about this. If you're unable to find that or get those, let us know afterwards. Call us, email us. We'll be happy to point those out to you. I'll even be able to show where you can download those links or documents directly from our Resource Center page. We're here for about the next 20 minutes or so till 12:20. If you have questions, please type those into the questions portion of the control panel. I'll do my best to keep an eye on those and try to get those answered. If not during the event, then certainly at the very end. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your day to spend with us today. Please keep the questions on topic, meaning about the payroll and the print checks topic we're talking about. There may be another webinar event suited to answer your other questions you have, or you can go out to the Resource Center and you'll be able to find probably virtually anything Church Windows out there. Or, of course, our technicians are available and happy to help at 800-533-5227. Today's webinar event is being recorded, so the video of this will probably be made available sometime, as soon as possible, hopefully here within the next week or so. Rachel, who produces those, is away from the office on vacation this week, and so we'll get this out as soon as humanly possible. So, again, we're talking about renumbering payroll checks and reprinting check stubs. The way I like to sort of qualify this at the very beginning is by stating there is no option to reprint checks. Reprint check stubs, yes. Renumber payroll checks. There is no function in the payroll software that says reprint checks itself. The only way to reprint payroll checks, if you need to reprint them, is to simply go to payroll and choose void individual pay, void that paycheck or checks, rerun the payroll, and that will then allow you to print new checks, okay? We do not have an option to reprint checks, in when you use that terminology or that phraseology with that, okay? So that's the only way if you actually physically need to print to check stock to print payroll checks if the payroll's posted, okay? So with that being said, let's talk about renumbering checks and reprinting check stubs. If checks were not numbered correctly, maybe what happened was you were printing the payroll checks, you looked at them, they were all presentable, they could be, distributed and honored by the bank, but then only at some point later, say, you realized, oh, well, they printed one check off, or you know what I mean? The sequencing on them was different, is different in payroll than was actually printed on the actual physical checks themselves. So that would be just one kind of simple example of where maybe renumbering payroll checks is necessary or warranted. Now, of course, payroll is, it's not just oftentimes payroll that's affected by that. Accounting would be affected by that too. And so Church Windows Payroll does make this process as simple and easy as possible for you, okay? So we simply click on Payroll, and we notice about 2/3 of the way down, we've got the option that says Renumber Checks. So we click on that. It does display all of our pay dates, so it's going to default to the most recent one. So all of my pay dates in, say, the 22 payroll year are listed here. Folks, we have this is just training data. We've got, training data set out for the, into the year, future year. But basically, you pick a pay date, and we can renumber for as many of these employees as we want. So I can renumber for one by simply highlighting it. or I can hold down my control key and I can select random names in the list here and amounts in the list, or checks if I need to renumber those, or if I needed to, I can simply click select all if I need to renumber everyone, say, okay? So, again, it's not like other parts of payroll where maybe it's all or nothing. You can literally just choose to renumber one payroll check if that's all you need to fix, okay? But we're going to say we need to renumber, say, the last three of these. So what we're going to do here is we're going to highlight Roger. We're going to hit our Shift key, and it's going to select all three of the last records there. And we're going to say that, basically the printer skipped one check. The, 79108 is actually didn't get printed. It was used for something else, but it never got destroyed. But our checks for Roger and beyond started with 7910. Roger's was 79109. Sorry, can be 109. Okay, so we've highlighted the checks we're wanting to renumber, and really, folks, I'm doing this for time and expediency, because you're going to see here, it's going to transfer the corrections over into accounting, and so in order to not spend a whole lot of time just watching the software do its gyrations while it's transferring those reversals and corrections into accounting, I'm just going to choose 2 or 3 of the checks here today to do that. So once we've made our selection, we could do everybody. And you can do contractors here too, if I recall correctly. Sure, right up here in the upper right, we got all payee types, employees or contractors. So contractor checks can be corrected as well. So we've got the names highlighted. We go to next. So then it opens up and says, okay, what's our new starting check number? So we're going to type in here 79109. And then if I hit the tab key or just click down, notice it now puts the, here's the old check number, new check number 79109, 110, and 111, and we're going to go to next. So here now it says confirm new check numbers and click continue. So it's going to default to no, do not renumber checks. I do want to do this. So we now have to physically change the radio button from the no to yes. Okay, now I can click continue, and then now notice it says transferring payroll data to accounting. So now it's actually going in, it's reversing the previous payroll entries for that particular date and those check numbers in accounting, and it's reposting the new check numbers in the accounting software for you. So as we try to help you, as I tell folks, we try to help you whenever we can to try to, take as much, take it out of your hands as possible. So in this case, it says renumbering process was successfully completed. We now click OK. We're back at the main payroll home screen, and now when we click on, say, payroll and void individual pay for June 23rd, we see John Thomas 107, and we now skip 108 to 109, 110, and 111, and the previous 3 payroll entries with those old check numbers are now voided, and they're reversed in accounting, and void status is on those checks in our books in accounting as well, okay? So that renumber routine really does make the correcting of your payroll checks very quick, very simple, and very easy, provided we just need to edit or change the check numbers themselves as they pertain to what's assigned in payroll and accounting, okay? All right, so let's move on to reprinting check stubs. So that now is not found under payroll, but now under reports. And notice right down at the very bottom, we've got the option that says reprint check stubs. And this is literally as described. They're just the stubs. So here at our first window, we can choose all employees, or contractors. We can choose a specific employee or contractor. Just in my experience as a technician, a common reason why somebody might get, a payroll administrator might be requested to reprint check stubs is maybe an employee is, maybe applying for a mortgage or a loan, and they're wanting to have verification of what their paychecks were for a period of time. So we can come in, choose specific employee, click clear all, and check just one employee's name. Okay, but if not, I can reprint a whole run for everybody for a particular pay date. You have full control here. Now this, of course, is separate by payroll year, So in this case, it's only going to allow me to reprint check stubs for 2022 because that's the payroll year I'm in. If I needed to reprint them for a different payroll year, I would actually have to physically change my payroll year back to, say, 2021. So let's say that's our example here. So Jimmy's being asked by the bank to provide some pay stubs for, say, the first 3 months of 2022. And so we're going to now, we've checked his name only. We're going to go to next. Now notice it says here pay dates from and to. So we're going to go to, backdate this to January 1st through, say, March 31st of 2022, excuse me. And we simply click continue. I can enter one pay date there if I want. Your choice, full control. So here now are all 6 of his pay stubs for the, first pay in January through the end of March. And I don't need to do any selecting or control on this to choose this. And we simply click next. And it does open up the preview of those check stubs. And of course, it does say with the watermark on it, non-negotiable copy. It's basically an exact duplicate of the checks, the check that would have been physically presented with, just printed on plain paper, but it does say non-negotiable copy. So then we can now click the print button in the upper left corner to physically send that to our printer. Or we could consider, converting them or exporting them as a PDF document and then emailing them to him if we wish. We don't have yet an export function in Payroll, but I believe when we roll Payroll into accounting at some point here, I believe this year, we will be able to export, better export payroll information. But basically, I now would print these, either send them to him or present them to him or have him come in and get them, and there's his stubs. So then when I'm done, I would click finish, and if I need to, I can go back and reprint other check stubs if I wish. But yeah, as I like to point out, if I choose everybody, I would click next. Notice it brought in my most recent pay date, in this case June 23rd. Click continue. Here's all of those checks, including my direct deposit employees, as well as those that receive checks. So it is not just about those with physical checks. It does allow you to reprint the check stubs for your direct deposit employees as well. They just don't have check numbers assigned. They have an ACH number assigned to them. And simply click next, and then there it is, opened up in my preview, and I can physically print those and distribute or print and I'll present those to folks. So let me see here if there's anything on the documentation that I missed. No, I don't think so. So that, folks, is our topic for the day.